Hello everyone, it's Kathy from Keynote Worthy. Hope you're all sane and safe wherever you are. Today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine that I met last year at the Keynote Worthy launch. This is Jennifer Waltmon. Hello Jennifer. Thanks for...
Hello, how are you, Kathy?
I'm good. Well, sane, I guess.
Try to be yeah.
Yeah, I just went to Aldi an hour ago and I bought a few bottles of wine. And the guy at the checkout was like, no, I'm fine. But the guy at the checkout was like, "You're having a party?" And I'm like, no, yeah, party for one. I'm having a party with the Real Housewives of Parramatta virtually. So
awesome.
very
I have a friend that's
time.
hosting a virtual. I have a friend that's hosting a virtual happy hour tonight on Facebook. I think she's doing one of those virtual meetings when everyone's going to get their drinks and hold them up to the camera. Like, hey, what's going on? So we can all connect.
Cheers. This is water, not vodka.
Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later. It's still early. But thank you for joining us. And for those who don't know Jennifer, you're the facilitator. Well, actually, you've got a lot of slashes in your title. Facilitator, speaker, organizer, jack of all trades at the Australian Institute of Training and Development. You're doing a wonderful job. Recently, you organised the inaugural AITD conference, and in the last minute, you and the management decided to host it virtually. So really keen to talk about that today, because a lot of us who are in the events industry are thinking about having their events virtually if they haven't done so. So this whole coronavirus situation has forced us to pivot and rethink how we organise and run events while making it as inclusive as possible. But before we dive into that, maybe share us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been at AITD. Over to you, Jen.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, so I've actually only been at AITD for about 7 months now. I came on last September. Yeah. Feels like forever sometimes. No, it's a great role. You're right. I do have the slashes kind of in my title, and those speaker facilitators mostly have to do now with kind of my side volunteering work, and that is that I do some mental health talks through Beyond Blue. But during the day, my day job is at AITD. I'm the programs and content manager. So that means I manage all of the courses that we run for our members and sometimes our non-members. And then I also look after things like our mentoring program, running a national conversation every quarter to talk about different topics that are kind of L&D related. And then most recently, I've acquired new skills, and that's how to take a conference from a physical on-site kind of delivery to a lot of different things, a lot of stakeholder engagement with AITD.
Oh yeah, definitely. I first heard of AITD back in the days, I think maybe it was 12 years ago, in my first ever HR job. I was in like a learning and development administrator role. And so that's how I heard of AITD. And you guys are doing amazing stuff. And so tell us more about the conference itself, because a lot of people are doing it virtually, like as in like a webinar style, but you guys kept the venue, the beautiful park. Like, tell me a little bit more about that and why you decided to keep that venue.
Yeah, of course. It's interesting if we just go back a little bit to kind of get us to where we are today and just post-conference. Sorry, our boss, our CEO, Lynette Pinder, hi Lynette, decided probably several weeks ago that we needed to have some kind of emergency contingency plan with the rapid changes that we were seeing with COVID-19. We knew we had to have some kind of plan in place, and we all thought she was overreacting, of course. It'll be fine. And then again, things changed quite quickly to the point where she said, look, we're going to have this meeting. Emergency contingency is that if we need to, we'll go virtual. We'll take this conference that we've been planning for months and months and months and go virtual. And we went, okay, we're with you. We're going to do this. And so what happened is a couple of our speakers said, look, I can't travel, so I'm going to have to stream in and do it virtually. And we said, okay, we can handle that. A couple of speakers here and there. But then about just under a week before the conference, our MC told us the day before Tom Hanks said he had coronavirus that she met Tom Hanks the previous Saturday, which was on the 7th of March.
Oh my
and
God.
On the day, we had lunch with her, nice 2-hour lunch with her. On the day, said, oh, that's great. Is he a lovely guy? She said, oh, he's a really nice guy. And then the next day, he announced that he had coronavirus. So little call to Susie. Hey, Susie, how are you feeling? We might have to delay this or at least reschedule you being our MC for the conference.
Wow.
And so she said, okay, that's fine. And at that point, we were still going to run the conference in a physical location at Luna Park. But again, things started rapidly progressing, and then they made the announcement, no gatherings for over 100 people. So we finally made the decision that we would have to go fully virtual. And so on a Friday afternoon, the Friday before the conference,
Friday the 13th,
we sat in the office. It was on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
We didn't let that spook us. We sat in the office and we wrote out a list. Everyone's got their responsibilities on what they're going to do to make this happen. And then later on Friday evening, there was wine, there was pizza, there was more wine, there was more pizza. We kept working into the night, got it to the point where we had a running order, had the speakers semi-lined up. And yeah, between Friday and Tuesday, we somehow transitioned it. So by Tuesday morning, just before 9 o'clock, we were ready to roll. So it was quite amazing, the time that it took us, or the lack of time that we had to get to where we did. And we pulled it off. It was quite amazing. Yeah.
Wow. And it just goes to show the leadership and kind of thinking, wow, this might happen, and sort of planning it and planting the seed into everyone to say, this might be happening, even though probably at that time everyone was like, because it felt so overnight, didn't it? Like it was just, yeah.
We were thinking she was overreacting. It'll be fine. And now we're thinking, wow, we're so glad that she took that initiative and said, just in case. It was a great plan.
Very smart. So, yeah, very, very smart. And has AITD organised any virtual conferences in the past, like maybe at a smaller scale?
That was our first time.
First time. Wow.
No. Yeah, it was our first time. It was our first virtual conference. But I think we knew that we could do it. There's less than 10 people in our office, but we knew that we could do it. So, I think it just takes a lot of communication and a lot of supporting each other and trying to be as patient as we can with each other. And everyone kind of having clear-cut ideas and an outline on what we all need to do to make it work. So it was our first time, but it won't be our last.
It's almost like a different style of leadership too, isn't it? It's like the whole, like I just think of, I don't know, My Kitchen Rules for some reason, when they have the challenges, they have like that team leader, and then you're just like, go, and you're like, there's like a timer. It almost feels like that, doesn't it? Yeah. Just have to get shit done. Work as a team.
It is different.
Yeah.
It is different. You have different considerations when you're virtual rather than being face-to-face with someone. Yeah.
So
true.
What was the attendee numbers like? Did a lot of people sign up on the day, or did they watch it on demand? Like, what was the numbers like?
So we lost a few registrations, and I don't know, I think, there'll be a survey. I think a survey's come out already to try to kind of compile the feedback that we got from the people that were on the conference with us. But I think at the end of the day, some people weren't keen to go virtual, which is fair enough. They were expecting a face-to-face. They didn't really want something that was virtual, or maybe they didn't have the means to be virtual. They weren't in a location where they could be in front of a laptop or a computer. We're not sure at this point. But to tell you the truth, I don't think we lost as many people as we thought we did. Because I think we were really good. Sam and Ash and Deepak on our team were really good at marketing and promoting the fact that we were still on. It was still happening. We still had all these great speakers and amazing content coming to the conference. And so we were hoping that we wouldn't lose them. So we kept constant communication with our registrations, the people that registered, so that they would know they were still getting a lot of value by being part of the conference. So I don't have exact numbers for you at the moment. I think we were looking at about 200. We got less than 200, but again, the actual discrepancy between when we were running on site to running virtual, I don't think that we actually lost as many, kind of raring to go and anxious to see how it would go. So yeah, great support.
Yeah, that's good. And when I was looking on the conference website, it was very clear cut, like this is what's happening. With just like, because I'm a bit of a word nerd, like just the tone of it was very positive, and also gave people options. Like if they didn't want to participate, then these were the options. You'd get a refund or whatever it was. It was just, it put people's mind at ease. And it's just going back to your point in just making sure that there's communication, constant communication with this. And I think also people realize that, you know, we're all in this, you know, everyone is affected, and it's not like, you know, decisions like this is not taken, you know, it's just not a spur of the moment decision. It's very well considered. And it's just, like, no, it was really well thought out. So congratulations on that.
And you're right. It did require a bit of planning, and you know, we wish we would have had more time to actually convert it, but we went with it anyway. But along with the considerations, we also saw a lot of opportunity to be more accessible and have a far wider reach to people being virtual. Because, you know, we had speakers coming in, logging in from the Netherlands, from the US, from around Australia. And so we were able then to reach participants in kind of every corner of the world. So we really saw a great opportunity to be more accessible as well.
Yeah, and reduce carbon footprint too.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
So tell me about the sponsors. So, because you had quite a few sponsors. So how did that go about? Like, because was it a different experience for them being in a virtual environment, or was it the same?
You know, of course, you'd have to talk to the sponsors. I would have to talk, excuse me, to the sponsors face to face to actually know exactly how they felt about it. But, you know, we wanted them to be on board with us, even though we were going virtual. Obviously, if you come into a conference or you come into an event and the sponsor is set up with their booth, you know, with their collateral and all of that, and you get to have that face-to-face experience, it is quite different than just seeing and hearing about them in a virtual world. So we tried to maintain as much of that promotion and that kind of communication about our sponsors as we could. And so Susie, our MC during the conference, really talked a lot about sponsors, and how kind of conferences and events can't run without sponsors. In Australia and even globally, you've got to have sponsors. And so they're very integral to, you know, having a successful conference. And so I think 5 of our sponsors, which I think is most of them, stayed on board with us virtually. So we had a slide for each of them that we referred back to, I think, a couple of times over the course of 2 days. Susie, our MC, talked a bit about them. So did the CEO, Lynette. She talked to specifically about one of our sponsors. And so we had a shout out to them as much as we could. And we hope that we can maintain those relationships with them and come back even bigger and better next year. We're hoping for a physical on-site conference, but if we have to go virtual again, we can learn how, if we didn't have enough coverage of sponsors, how we can do it even better next year.
And by next year, you're an expert already in virtual events.
Yeah.
So tell me about the technology to live stream and everything. Was that, I mean, I'm not very technical myself, but was that quite easy to organize and manage? And
it wasn't. I think most of us, if we're running a conference or running an event, we've got our conference to run, and we're hoping that our technological partners will help us with the technology part.
Yes.
I guess to say it.
That's why they get hired.
Right? Yeah, that's right. That's why we're not the technology people. Somebody else is. They're the experts, right? Yeah. So I'm not very technology savvy, nor are most of us. So we have our days, but in terms of live streaming and something a bit bigger than us, we unfortunately didn't have a lot of time on our side to do the research that we needed to do to look at all of the options and then narrow those down to who are we going to go with and what do we actually need. We had to actually step back and go, what actually needs to happen here? We need to live stream it, and we need to be able to record it. We're going to have, and what we ended up with was, we're on site at Luna Park. We decided to still do that because then we would have a kind of a quiet, large space to work from, where just a skeleton crew from our support office was there along with the technology guys. And a couple of the speakers decided to come in person to do their presentation, which was great, but only less than a handful because, again, we needed to be in really, really small groups. So when you consider the fact that we were on site, myself and Lynette had microphones in front of our laptops, and all of the speakers were calling into Zoom. So that was their part. They would kind of sit in a holding room, having their own speakers room. And then they were streamed into our live stream. We had Q&A sitting on a separate platform that Lynette and I had to actually verbally say the questions into the conference on the mic. And then all of that, and speakers logging in from Australia, the Netherlands, and the US into Zoom, and then streamed to another third party. So yeah, there was a lot of systems and platforms going on, all coming together. So, how they did it is beyond me, but they did it and they made it work. And we've got screen sharing at the same time as the presenters on their videos so that we could see their smiling faces. And then again, panning between myself and Lynette and Susie in her house doing the emceeing as well. So a lot was going on, and we made it work. So it wasn't easy. In answer to your question, not easy. But they really, after getting to know us and us communicating with them what we needed and what we were trying to achieve, I think it really helped in terms of them knowing after a couple of hours how things were going. We're going to run a presentation, have a Q&A, have a bit of banter between Lynette and I and Susie, and then back and forth and do that for the next 2 days. So it helped to have communication with them. So we all kind of knew that we were on the same page and what we were trying to achieve.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wow. Like I'm just kind of visualizing like so many different laptops that it's like a full production line almost, and so many different moving parts, and you were all winging it and it just worked. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's right.
So what would you do differently next time? If you were to do it again, if
we might. We have our annual awards coming up. We're hoping to do that on a physical on-site. But if we had to do it again, I would prefer not to have to face a global pandemic. That would help. That would
that's fair.
Kind of makes it a little bit more challenging, right? But you know what? At the end of the day, I think if you are trying to achieve something like we did, going from a fully physical on-site conference to a virtual conference, you really need to have in place the right, people that are supportive and open-minded and can work well together and understand what needs to be done. And you give them tasks, we give each other tasks, we call each other out if we're not doing things correctly or if we're not all on the same page. But I suppose at the end of the day, as cliche as it sounds, it's about communication. I think we did that really well. So for me, it's not so much a matter of how would I do it differently. It would be, I wouldn't have a pandemic happening in the background. And, we didn't have the luxury of time. So, if we had more time, I feel like we would have been more across the technology prior to running with it. So we were more aware of what it could do and what it couldn't do and what we needed to do to get there. We probably could have zhuzhed up our slides a little bit more, but again, slides were coming in at the last minute and we were changing things at the last minute. So I think we did pretty well considering the lack of time that we had to go with it. I don't think I would do anything differently other than I would want a little bit more time.
Yeah, and not the pandemic.
Not the pandemic. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So any final words for anyone out there that wants to organize a virtual conference? Other words?
Sorry, go ahead.
Any other words of wisdom?
Look, I feel like, when we sat down weeks ago with Lynette and she said, if need be, let's go virtual, I think all of us kind of did a very audible, but I think we knew that we could do it. But it was a matter of, I remember Lynette telling a story. She said, look, and this was at the end of the conference. At the end of the conference, she was saying thank yous. And she said, when we sat down and we made that decision on the Friday and we ran it on the Tuesday, she said, I just went out of the office just for a moment, just to go to the toilet. And while I was gone, they started making this list. They made a list and they divvied out all of the tasks and responsibilities that everybody needed to do to get everything done. And she goes, and I wasn't on that list. My team just took it upon themselves to get everything done. And we did. And she got a bit emotional. I think we all got a bit emotional when she told that story. I think you just have to be willing to jump in. And if you want something bad enough, you can work out how to make it work. So I think it's communication. It's the belief that you can do it. And then just, again, I think communication internally, communication externally, like we talked about earlier, keeping your stakeholders informed as to what's going on. And putting in a lot of hard work, but knowing that kind of the end result, your outcome may be amazing. And for us, it was amazing. So I'd say stick in there. If you think that you can't do it, chances are you probably can.
Yeah, beautiful. And I also think that it was a safe environment for everyone to call each other out as well.
Yeah.
So that always helps if you all kind of get along with each other and can take constructive criticism well.
Yeah, I mean, we're all adults, so I think we're not shy to call each other out on things. And we did. I mean, it wasn't a big drama, but it was just so that we were all on the same page. And I think as an organization, and us being a not-for-profit, we're small. We don't have a huge budget to work with, and so it makes a difference that we do have to communicate. And be on the same page, because for us, for AITD, we're all about members and we're all about supporting our members and developing them. So at the end of the day, what we do is for our members. And so with that common goal in mind, you can work, even as a really small team, you can work to that common goal and achieve it. So we had some challenges and some little blips along the way, but I think we're stronger for it, and we're definitely more educated on how to do it going forward. So,
definitely stronger. Well, I don't have any questions other than just congratulations once again. Like, I saw the photos on LinkedIn and I thought, wow, this looks so well executed. Everyone was just like that whole get shit done mode. It was all about the members, servicing the members.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, keeping the customer at the heart. Well done, and thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, Jennifer.
See you.